curious about a narcissist's complex love or lack of it for their children? Brace yourself for an exploration into intricate family dynamics. 1. Narcissists only love their children under certain conditions. Narcissists may not love their kids the way we typically think of love, because they often come with conditions. In other words, they love their kids when they succeed, hit those milestones, or make the narcissist look good. You might have heard of the term attachment theory. Psychologists like John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth discussed how early relationships with parents shape our emotional well-being. If a child only feels loved when they're doing something impressive, they might develop an insecure attachment. It means they might doubt the reliability of love and have trouble forming healthy relationships later on. 2. Narcissists intimidate their children instead of disciplining them correctly. Dr. Lisa Firestone, a clinical psychologist, explains that narcissistic parent often puts their own needs above their child's emotional well-being. It can make them resort to intimidation to maintain control. Dr. Carol McBride, a licensed marriage and family therapist, notes that when coercion is used instead of proper discipline, the child might start questioning whether their parents' love is conditional on behaving a certain way. Dr. Susan Heitler, a clinical psychologist, explains that proper discipline helps children feel loved and secure, while intimidation can create emotional distance. 3. Narcissists treat their children as dump sites for their emotional baggage. Narcissists often treat their kids like emotional dumping grounds. It's like they unload all their feelings and issues onto their children, and that's not fair. Psychologists and experts have looked into this and found that many narcissistic parents treat their kids as if they're their best friends, therapists, or even like little doctors for their emotional troubles. They might even say, "Wow, you're such a great listener," when the kid is just there for them. They're using their child as a personal emotional support hotline. Psychologists and experts have found that this can be harmful to kids. When they're constantly listening to their parents' problems, it can mess with their feelings and development. They might start feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or even blaming themselves for things that aren't their fault. It's like being asked to solve a tricky puzzle with pieces that don't fit together. 4. Narcissists treat their children as robots or puppets. Having people depend on narcissists gives them that fix they're looking for. So, enter their children. They're these little beings who are naturally dependent on their parents. But as those kids grow up and become more independent, it can seriously mess with the narcissist's ego game. Suddenly, these kids are developing their thoughts and making choices and decisions. And that's a significant threat to the narcissist's need for control and a sense of being all-powerful. It's not that the narcissist is concerned about their kids making mistakes or anything. The idea that their ego might take a hit is gnawing at them. They've been used to this dynamic where they're the puppet master, and their kids are the puppets, and now the children are trying to cut their strings. You can imagine how much that would mess with their self-image. 5. Narcissists view their children as a source of validation. Narcissists can be pretty insecure, even though they might not show it to everyone. They might only let their guard down around close family members. So when it comes to their kids, they might see them as a way to boost their self-esteem. They want their kids to make them look good and feel important. Everyone wants their parents' love and approval. And sometimes these narcissistic parents can seem charming and loving to other people, making the kids want to please them even more. However, it's a never-ending game for the kids. No matter what they do, it might not be enough to earn their parents' love. It can be super frustrating and confusing. 6. Narcissists get jealous of their children. Narcissists always want to be in the spotlight. And it turns out that these narcissists sometimes feel a weird mix of jealousy and resentment toward their kids. Imagine you have a parent who's all about themselves, always needing attention and admiration. Now, when they have kids, those kids might steal some of that attention away, especially when they're cute and charming. And narcissists, well, they can't stand not being the center of the universe. So, when their kids start getting attention, they feel envious. As a clinical psychologist, Dr. Lisa Firestone says, narcissists are often preoccupied with their own needs and desires, which can leave little room for genuine emotional connection with their children. 7. Narcissists belittle and put down their children to keep them in control. Narcissists want to keep their kids feeling small so that they can stay in charge. Experts in the field, like psychologists and psychiatrists, have noticed this behavior too. They've observed that narcissistic parents might criticize their children or even make them doubt their abilities. It can mess with a child's self-esteem and make them rely on their parents' approval for everything. It's like a power play for the narcissist. By making their kids feel lesser, they feel more powerful. 8. Narcissists project their insecurities and flaws onto their children. If a narcissistic parent has an issue with feeling inadequate, they might unintentionally pass on this fear to their child. They might constantly criticize the child, set unrealistic expectations, or never show genuine love and support. They're trying to mold their child into what they think they should be, rather than embracing who the child truly is. Psychologists and psychiatrists believe that this projection of insecurities onto children is one reason narcissists struggle to love them truly. They're stuck in their self-centered world, unable to connect with their kids profoundly and emotionally. This well-known psychologist, Sigmund Freud, discussed projection as a defense mechanism. He suggested that people tend to project their unacceptable feelings onto others to avoid dealing with those feelings themselves. It's a way of avoiding facing their issues. 9. Narcissists see their children as possessions. Imagine you have a friend who's really into collecting cool gadgets. They might see these gadgets as possessions that make them look good or feel important. Now think of a narcissist as someone who sees their kids like those gadgets, as possessions that boost their ego and make them feel powerful. It can get in the way of forming a deep, genuine bond between parents and their children. They're missing out on that warm, fuzzy parent-child connection because their ego gets in the way. Dr. Nina W. Brown, a psychologist, points out that narcissists might have difficulty seeing their kids as unique individuals with their feelings and needs. Instead, they view them as extensions of themselves. They're only interested in how their kids make them look or feel, rather than caring about the kids' happiness. 10. Narcissists only show affection to their children for public approval. A narcissistic parent might shower their children affectionately, but not because they genuinely love them. Nope, it's often more about making themselves look good in front of others. Psychologists have looked into this, and one theory they have is that narcissists use their kids as trophies to boost their self-esteem. They're using their kids' successes to show off, which can be pretty tough for the children since it's not about their feelings but about the parent's image. So when they're being affectionate in public, it might not be because they genuinely care about their kids, but because they're thinking, this will make me look like a loving parent. They're caught up in a me, myself, and I whirlwind that leaves no room for anyone else, even their flesh and blood. From their insatiable need for admiration to their inability to truly empathize, these 10 reasons paint a pretty clear picture. If you're interested in narcissism topics, why not check out this video right here? You might find this helpful.